When you think of good, like I mean good, adult animation shows, what shows come to your head? For some, it could be the earlier seasons of Family Guy, or Bob's Burgers, or More Oral, BoJack Horseman, Smiling Friends. But what about the bad? Is it Big Mouth, Velma, Paradise PD? Those are just like the main examples. So today I'm gonna tell you why adult animation has an identity crisis. Let's dive into it. That was alright.
Or the drugs, or any of the shitty things that happened to you in your career or when you were a kid. It's you. Alright? It's you.
If adult animation has an identity crisis, BoJack Horseman is what it looks like when that crisis is confronted head on. What BoJack understands more than most adult cartoons, shit, I'd probably say more than adult shows in general, is that being funny doesn't excuse you for being cruel, and being sad doesn't automatically make you deep. The show uses comedy as an entry point, but not a shield. Early on, BoJack looks like another cynical animated sitcom. Talking animals, Hollywood satire, fast jokes, but over time it becomes clear that the humor isn't there to distract you from the pain, it's there to make the pain unavoidable. BoJack isn't this tragic hero, he's not misunderstood, and the show never asks you to forgive him just because he's charismatic or broken. That's the difference. Where a lot of adult animation uses irony to dodge responsibility, BoJack Horseman leans into accountability. Characters remember what happens, actions carry weight, jokes don't reset that world at the end of the episode. And crucially, the show trusts the audience enough to sit in discomfort. Episodes like its quieter, more experimental moments aren't afraid to slow down or stop being funny altogether, because BoJack understands that animation doesn't need to be loud to be engaging. This is adult animation that knows exactly what it wants to be. Comedy that evolves into a character study, a satire that becomes reckoning, and proof that animation can explore emotional complexity. Wow, we are not going to talk about that. Without hiding behind shock or cruelty. But BoJack Horseman isn't the only example of adult animation outgrowing its surface level premise. One of the most devastating transformations in the medium came from a show that started as a punchline, then refused to stay one.
Look, that's a crack! Hooray! Poor people smoking.
I look different than the last section, and you're probably asking, why do you look different? Is it the different hoodie? Is it this cool chopper beanie? Or is it this LeBron Funko Pop? I don't know. But what I do know is in this section, we're going to talk about one of my favorite animated adult TV shows of all time, which is More Oral. More Oral begins as a parody of religious conservatism. The animation is done by stop motion, which really adds to the aesthetic of the show, if that makes sense. The characters are exaggerated and the jokes are blunt. At first, it feels intentionally shallow and almost disposable, but that's kind of the point. As the series progresses, the humor gives way to something really unsettling, and the satire stops aiming outwards and starts cutting inwards. The show isn't mocking belief systems, it's examining the emotional damage they can cause when they're enforced without compassion. What makes More Oral exceptional isn't just its darkness, but its restraint. When the show becomes really serious, it doesn't announce it with shock value or a spectacle. It slows down and it lets scenes breathe. It allows moments of silence, regret, and guilt to sit uncomfortably with the audience. Most importantly, More Oral doesn't treat suffering as a joke, even though it began as one. Characters aren't frozen in irony, they break down. The show doesn't undercut the pain with a wink to the audience or a last-minute gag. It trusts that discomfort is enough. This is adult animation using satire as a doorway and not a destination. The show that starts laughing at its characters and ends by mourning them. This is where adult animation's identity crisis becomes impossible to ignore, because for every show that uses comedy as a gateway to insight, there are others that mistake repetition, volume, and shock for honesty. Now, I understand that not all adult animated shows have to have this emotional complexity and dark themes and serious moments. Sometimes people want to sit back and laugh, but there's a difference when it's just noise replacing meaning, which kind of leads into this section. Today we're going to talk about Big Mouth and Paradise PD. Big Mouth presents itself as raw, unfiltered, and an educational look at puberty, and it tries to make itself look like it's brutally honest. But honesty without reflection isn't insight, and openness without evolution quickly turns into repetition. The show relies heavily on shock as its primary language. Sexual humor becomes less of a tool for understanding adolescence and more of a substitute for saying something new. Moments that could lead to growth are often undercut by the need to immediately return to a joke. There's an argument to be made that Big Mouth is trying to normalize uncomfortable conversations, and at times it does succeed in that, but too often it confuses constant escalations with depth and bluntness with bravery. Paradise PD, on the other hand, takes this step further. Where Big Mouth at least gestures towards self-awareness, Paradise PD abandons it entirely. Characters are defined by a single trait and pushes it to the extreme without consequence. Episodes don't build toward meaning, they pile on noise, value replaces timing, excess replaces wit, and cynicism replaces perspective. What both shows reveal isn't just a difference in taste, it's a difference in intent. They don't trust the audience to sit with silence, ambiguity, or growth. So, they fill every gap with yelling, shock, shallow irony, and in doing so, they don't feel rebellious. They feel insecure.
Stupid piece of shit. But I know I'm a piece of shit. That at least makes me better than other people.
And now we're at this last section, and you're probably asking, what is adult animation supposed to be? And I'm gonna try to answer that. Adult animation doesn't fail because it's immature, it fails because it's afraid of maturity. The shows that work like BoJack, More Oral, and even something as absurd as Smiling Friends understands what they are. They don't apologize for being animated, and they don't hide behind irony. They trust their audience enough to let jokes breathe, to let silence exist, and to let actions carry consequences. And the shows that don't work feel embarrassed. Embarrassed to be sincere, embarrassed to slow down, embarrassed to exist without shouting their intentions at the viewer. So they reach shock, cynicism, and noise. Not because it's meaningful, but because it's safe, and that's the real identity crisis. Adult animation keeps asking whether it should be taken seriously instead of asking whether it's saying anything worth taking seriously. It wants the freedom of animation without the responsibility that freedom comes with. I don't want every adult cartoon to be like BoJack Horseman, and I don't want everything to be tragic or heavy or profound. I just want adult animation that knows what it's doing, because when it does, it's fearless and it's entertaining. And when it doesn't, it isn't rebellious, it's confused, it's in a medium this powerful, deserves better than confusion. Adult animation doesn't need to grow up, it just needs to stop being afraid of it. And with that being said, we've reached the end of this video, and I would like to thank you for taking the time to watch this, and I pray that you have the blessed week that you can have, and I pray that you stay safe. Peace.